Welcome to the Unstick Your Mind Summit. I'm your host, Mimika Cooney. I am so excited to have you join me for these next 2 days of riveting content you are going to love. We have some amazing speakers who have some life-giving messages to share with you. So I'm so thrilled that you are here to take the step towards activating the next phase of your life. Before we dive into the content, I just wanted to give you a few heads up. So if you haven't yet done so, go ahead and check out each speaker's page where you can download their freebies, their offers, and enter their giveaways. By registering for their talks, you are eligible to be in their giveaway. As soon as their talk is done, a winner will be randomly selected and they will be winning their prize package. Now, each speaker is offering something unique, so make sure to go and check that out today. And if you haven't yet shared this with your friends, make sure to click those buttons to share on social, invite your friends, because we're going to have some action-packed advice and you are going to love the content. Now, if you're like me and you kind of get busy being a mom and doing the things that we do every day, and being able to access this content anytime at any place is really vital. So if you haven't considered it, consider joining us by or upgrading your ticket to an all-access pass. Now that'll give you access to replays so you can come back and watch and rewind and make some notes as the speakers share their information, and that will be available for you as well. And if you sign up before the summit ends, you can get 20% off that all-access ticket. So go and do that today. But without further ado, I'm going to introduce you to the first section of the content, which is my teaching called Overcome Mental Blocks, as an introduction to what you can expect for the next 2 days worth of content. Now, each speaker has their own topic and their own viewpoint, so we have gone through an interview process of asking questions and getting them to share their insights. So without further ado, let me welcome you to this training called Overcome Mental Blocks. See you soon. I am so excited about this because this is something that I think a lot of us have struggled with, especially coming from the environment and the world we've been living in with all the challenges we've had. I think this is a great opportunity that we can start today, moving ourselves forward into God's plan for our life, breaking us free from those limitations and those things that have been holding us back. So we'll dive right in. So the big goal today is, during this webinar, my goal for you is to help you see there is a path to getting unstuck by changing your mindset. So what you will learn today is how to recognize the limiting beliefs that are holding you back, how to align your thinking with God's plan for your life, and how to take action towards breaking free and finding freedom. So I have something I want to ask from you. What is holding you back from achieving your dreams? If you had to think right now, if there's something that's pressing, you think, well, I have this big dream, whether it's to start a business or write a book or start a nonprofit or do something, whatever your dream is, what do you think is actually holding you back? And sometimes this can be a hard question, because this is what we're going to discover today is maybe we really don't know exactly what it is. So let's do this as an exercise together. I want you to go ahead and just close your eyes for a minute. We're going to take some time out for you. And I want you to visualize your day like a movie. So fast forward to 1 year, like you sitting in the movie theater and you got your popcorn and your drink and you got the big screen in front of you and you are visualizing, you're watching a movie, but the movie is your life. So if you fast forward to a year from now, what does life look like? What do you believe about yourself? And how do you feel? You are doing great things. And you can imagine that reality is what we want to make manifest today. And it starts with baby steps. So the current reality is the world has drastically changed forever. I mean, as we know, the quarantine crisis has caused widespread unemployment. People have changed their job situations, have moved house, or people are more isolated and depressed than ever before. And the sense of discomfort has drastically shaken people, especially those who are not used to change. We've all been thrust into change, whether we like it or not. And of course, the news is a barrage of doom, gloom, fear, and panic. But the good news is that regardless of what is holding you back, we can all do a few things to get unstuck and to move forward towards freedom especially when we just did the visualization technique, which is always a good thing when you're feeling stuck, is where do I want to be? And we are in a pivotal time in history to change the future. I think even though everything that just has been shaken, it's an opportunity for new growth and new development. I know that there will be opportunities that will arise from new needs, like as people start to see new products, new businesses, new opportunities, people are going to need things. And people are embracing new ways of doing things now more than ever. Like that resistance to change has broken down a lot because of what we've all been through. People are reflecting to value what matters most, spending time with loved ones, really where they want to spend their money and their efforts. And we can provide solutions to problems that people are actively seeking. And we can offer hope and help using our gifts and talents. If you think about it, someone else is praying for a solution, and you might just be that solution. So the big dream, maybe you want to change lives, make an impact, like maybe build a business or write a book, launch a product or a ministry, repair relationships. Maybe you want freedom to share your story, knowledge, and insights. And maybe you have a big dream and a God-given calling that you just know is yearning to fulfill. It's one of those things that you just cannot ignore. It just never goes away, right? Well, you have an opportunity. Your opportunity today to change your mindset and the status quo. You can do something big and important with your life. This makes you a world changer. Just by showing up today, you have shown that you are taking that step. But first, it is time to get out of your own way. Many of us get stuck in not moving forward, not pursuing our goals because of, all the reasons that you've mentioned in the chat, like, fear and procrastination and the uncertainty. But there is always a way. Why this is important, and I want to emphasize this, is that did you know that the world needs what only you have? God is calling his troops into formation to change the world. If you know God is calling you to something, only you possess the keys to unlock what's within you, because God has already given you what you need. It's just a matter of digging deep to find it. And now is the most important time in history to make an impact. But first, you need to rise to the challenge and do the hard work to get battle ready. Just like anybody, if you've seen the movie Wonder Woman, one of my faves, there's always that montage of when they go through training, right? Boot camp training. You can't be an effective soldier or effective in what you need to do without that effective training. But sometimes boot camp can be a little hard and can be a little painful. But if you're willing to do the work, you will get the reward. So my challenge to you today is your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to rise to the challenge. So I'm officially laying it down. This is your opportunity to step forward and say, yes, this is me. I'm prepared to do this. So this is for you if you feel weighed down by fear that paralyzes you from taking action. You struggle with a lack of self-confidence. Perhaps you're scared of making big decisions and taking huge risks, and you're kind of in analysis paralysis. You long to start believing in yourself so you can get unstuck and move forward. And you yearn to work out of your strengths to fulfill potential, calling, and purpose, because it's already in you. A lot of us look to the outside for validation, to what other people are doing to give us permission to do what we know we need to do. But really the answer lies within you. God has planted that seed, and he wants you to tap into unlocking that. So as an example, like, coming from a business and a marketing background, God called me to share my story, which I'll go into and tell you a little bit more about that a little on. But just to show you that I was able to put my story to print, and my book, Warrior to Warrior, A Mother's Journey from Fear to Faith, ended up being a bestseller when it was launched, and it's continued to sell 3 years later. And it's what to me is the biggest joy, is seeing how this book as a tool has helped other people find and get unstuck where they are. Another book that's done really well is Mindset Makeover, which I wrote in 2018. It's been downloaded over 16,000 times. It was #1 bestseller at launch, and it's continued to stay in the top 5 for 3 years in the Women's Christian Living, and received close to almost 250 positive reviews, which shows you people need this. They want to know, they want empowerment. They seek it. They're looking for it. People need the help. So my story might not be your story, but it might be similar. And, you can put what you have in print or out there in the world, because someone is needing what you have to say. because your message matters. I mean, these are just a few older screenshots. I actually need to update this slide, but just some of what that people have said. This book was a breakthrough for me. Thank you for the gift. It's helped me to become more spiritually aware, provide me with strategies to cope and succeed. This book spoke to me on a few things I hadn't even realized. Like, we are sitting on a gold mine, and it's just being brave enough to put it out there and to share what we have to say. And it is amazing once you do what comes back. So Cindy says, that was a wonderful online Bible study you offered. Yes, definitely. It's something that people have got emails from people from all over the world who've said, I love the book. Can we do it as Bible study? And every week they work through a piece, which is just amazing to me how God's been able to use that. How would you feel if in 1 year you had complete peace of mind and excitement for the future because you are doing what God has called you to do? How would you feel then if this is exactly where you were? Having that joy, right? Just knowing that your purpose and your assignment and your passion all collide, and knowing that what you're doing right now is where you're meant to be. That is the best place for where peace and purpose collide. It's that restless soul feeling of like, I know I should be doing something, but am I doing it? This uncertainty of feeling like you're almost like a race horse stuck in the stalls, right? You keep banging up against those walls. Like, I want to be let out to run free, but something's holding you back. I don't know what it is. And it's like, just like with a racehorse, sometimes they put blinders on them so they do not get distracted by the horses to their left and right. But unfortunately, for some of us, we're so busy looking around, we forget to stay focused right ahead of where we meant to go. How to recognize the limiting beliefs that are holding you back. So Dr. Caroline Leaf is a communication pathologist, a cognitive neuroscientist, and a fellow South African. So you can tell, I love her because she talks fast like I do, but she is super smart. She's a very strong Christian, but she also comes with documented scientific proof. And she uses a lot of her, and I will refer to her a few times because her stuff is amazing. But what I wanted to quote was one thing that she said, which really resonated with me. It says, you cannot sit back and wait to be happy and healthy and have a great thought life. You have to make the choice to make this happen. You have to choose to get rid of the toxic and get back in alignment with God. You can be overwhelmed by every small setback in life, or you can be energized by the possibilities they bring. As I mentioned, no mistakes, right? Just experiments. So what exactly are limiting beliefs when we hear this? Perhaps you've maybe said, I'm not good at math, or I'll always be broke with no money, or I'll be an alcoholic because it runs in my family. Or maybe you've said, I'll never lose weight no matter how hard I try. Or maybe you've said, I can't find a good paying job. Or I'll never have luck with love. Or I'm a terrible dancer. Or conflict is bad, so I should never voice my opinion. These are often limiting beliefs that limit you from being who you're meant to be. And they're not necessarily true. Because here's the thing. We need to decide and discern between what is truth and what is lies, because many of us are believing lies that have been ingrained in our subconscious thinking back from when we were younger. Here's the problem with limiting beliefs. A limiting belief is a state of mind, conviction, or belief that you think to be true, but it actually limits you in some way. It puts you in a corner of your own making and keeps you feeling stuck. Often falsely defines you and makes you believe that you are unworthy or less valuable than others. It has many negative effects, like preventing you from reaching your potential, causing you to sabotage opportunities, and stops you living the life you truly desire. So if this sounds familiar, let's just take a moment and be aware of this awareness, because awareness is key, knowing that this is actually a limiting belief that might not necessarily be true. So let's go ahead and challenge these beliefs. Neuroplasticity scientific fact, Dr. Caroline Leaf says, you are not a victim of your biology or your experiences. And this is her quote, based on my own experience and practice, where I worked with individuals suffering from learning disabilities and traumatic brain injury and mental ill health, I witnessed the power of the brain to change. Frequent, positive, and challenging learning experiences can actually increase intelligence in a relatively short amount of time. Today, there's an increasing body of evidence that the brain changes according to experience. The anatomy and physiology of the human brain is much more malleable and plastic than we once thought. The brain changes according to how we use it. Now, I don't know about you, but I think that is awesome news. It means we don't have to stay stuck. We don't have to continue living in that cycle of, unbelief. And limiting ourselves. So here are some tips. If you want to learn to identify limiting beliefs, is think about and write down your beliefs and values that influence your daily life. And this is relating to your family, your finances, your health, your relationships. And often this comes from even when you were a child. Think about those dinner time discussions. Were your parents very negative? Were they very critical? Were they empowering? What was that kind of belief and value system that was instilled in you? Because they often say that your values are established by the time you're age 8. So between 0 and 8, what you learn as a child. And, if you think about an 8-year-old, what does an 8-year-old really know about the world? And yet we, in our minds, think, well, when I speak up and people tell me to shut up, maybe, and they'd say I'm bossy, it means I shouldn't even voice my words. So eventually this little broken record keeps going in our head thinking, well, what you have to say doesn't matter. But if you actually think about it, it's like, where did I get that from? When did I start thinking about that? And once you've written it down, you can assess your behavior and decide which ones are helping you grow and those that are limiting you, because you have a choice. You don't have to keep going with them. And also write down those recurring challenges you encounter, like repeating patterns of behavior, perhaps something like self-sabotage. Maybe it's, which often we think you get a certain level and then you're like, oh no, I can't do that. Fear kicks in and then you step back. You don't take that extra jump or that leap of faith that you need to, because the fears set in. And then we get frustrated because we feel like we want what's on the other side, but we never take the steps to figure that out. So actually sitting and being aware, and this is something you can do, find a quiet time. And there's something about writing it down with pen and paper that uses a part of your brain that will help you really tap into this. So here are some tips to overcoming limiting beliefs. Dedicate daily time for mindful prayer. Stop and slow down, breathe, and seek God. Now, the world has unfortunately used the word mindful prayer to make it sound a little like woo-woo, new agey, but believe me, it started with the Bible. God came up with this concept in the first place because he didn't say we need to spend time daily with prayer for him. He meant it because it's for us. We need to calm our thinking, calm our thoughts, and actually stop and being mindful and thinking about what we think about is really where the growth happens. Positive affirmations, speaking positively of yourself. Reciting God's word out loud has a positive effect because when your brain hears your voice and hears sound and hears things over and over enough, it starts to believe them as true. This works on a positive side as well as a negative side. If someone has said to you, oh, you're stupid or you'll never amount to anything, you hear that often enough, you start to believe it. But that is a limiting belief. Another thing you can do is change your environment. Declutter, embrace minimalism. This can seem almost like strange when you're thinking about your thought patterns, but your physical environment is a good indication of your internal environment. So if you're feeling like there's a lot of clutter and you can't decide, oftentimes we cling on to physical environmental clutter, which shows that there's something internal going on. Have you ever seen those, the show Hoarders? You often see it, you think, oh, they're going to help them make over their house. But oftentimes the majority of the show is about them helping them finding themselves and mentally getting to a place where they can let go. Another way that you can overcome a limiting belief is exploring new ideas and possibilities. Perhaps you need to travel and engage with another culture. Open your mind to possibilities. Embrace your childlike wonder. Go to the zoo, watch a theatre show, take a dance class. I know for us go-getters out there, we're like, oh my gosh, this feels so lame. But there is something about tapping into that. So whether you need to borrow someone else's child and be a babysitter for the day, just really getting to that stage where as a child, they slow down, they appreciate the environment, and they start to take in, even if you've ever seen a 2-year-old getting fascinated by a bug on the ground, like, oh, it's an ant. Let's see how the ant works. I know it kind of seems like counterintuitive when you're on a mission to go somewhere, but it really does help. And another thing is to ask and reach out for help. Maybe you need to talk to a counselor or process your thoughts and feelings. Talking about things is really useful. And consider cognitive behavioral therapy. Tracing the root and working it out is often helpful in enabling you to break through what holds you back. So this is what I call my life and death story. Like as I mentioned earlier, I was on a mission, doing my thing, on a trajectory, like I'm going to do this and, be this big businesswoman and do all these things. And what about 2016, I had what I call my, crash and burn moment. Within a space of about 6 weeks, my mother-in-law died from cancer, and she was a strong woman of faith, which really rocked my world because we were really close, and she helped me through a lot of things, and she was also in ministry. So for me, I was like, I couldn't understand what was going on. At the same time, I was dealing with one of my kids who was suicidal and depressed. And for the longest time, I was in denial. I was like, oh, it'll be fine. He'll it'll be fine. I'll be fine next week. I just need to, pull myself together. But really what happened was I eventually faced physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual burnout. I couldn't get out of bed. I've never experienced physical grief like that, where I literally would be like drive heave, that kind of ugly snot cry where you're like, yeah, that kind of thing. My mom would try to phone me and I'd say, I'm sorry, I can't talk. I just have to text you. I can't even hold a conversation. I was feeling like such a failure. I had tried several business launches, and I was $11,000 in credit card debt. My faith was rocked. And to top it all, the worst part is that my mind was a hot mess. I felt defeated. I felt exhausted. I felt frustrated. I just didn't know what to do. But one thing I had to realize is that this could not continue. Denial was no longer an option. It was time to deal with things. So the turning point really is I had to make that decision. I had to decide. I could either lie in a lump and feel sorry for myself, blame others in my circumstances, or I could do something to change. So I was challenged. The Lord said, stop having a pity party, take your eyes off yourself and do something for someone else. And so I joined my local church to volunteer in their TV production department for a whole year. I shut down my business. I stopped updating social media. I showed up every week, and all I did was volunteer, did the stay-at-home mom thing, just really cut down all of those other noise and other influences and just showed up. And I had to humble myself because I had people who were half my age who were in charge of telling me what to do. So you can imagine, talk about a painful, prideful moment where I'd had to put my pride in my pocket. I had to commit myself to showing up every week, no matter how I felt. I made the commitment to do it. And I knew that this is part of what I needed to do, is get beyond myself. I had soaked in God's word daily, rewiring my thoughts, my words, and my actions. I had to analyze what I was speaking, what I was hearing, and what I was listening to. I pressed in to address the hard stuff from my past, and I had to forgive myself and others, because for the longest time, I was just shoving my guilt under the carpet. Been a lot of emotional issues in my past as well, which I just thought, oh, well, we'll be fine. I'll get over it. But eventually the junk in your trunk will start to weigh you down. And the only thing you can do eventually, and I don't advise you get to the point that I was of complete breakdown, but there are signs that it's time to deal with it. With the Holy Spirit's help, I went through an inner healing process to get rid of all that junk, working through forgiveness and, getting rid of all those things. And I sought out the help from friends and a Christian counselor to help me work through things. And this whole process is actually detailed in more detail in my book, Warrior to Warrior, if you're interested in learning more. And it's a complete inner healing process of how God took me through all of that, letting go of pride and accomplishment and perfection and praise and activation, and how God's been able to use my story to help others. So now it's your turn. It's your turn to decide, because action changes things. When you decide to act, put one step in front of the other, that's how you get unstuck. But it's up to you to do that. No one can do that for you. You have to decide for yourself, because that is the one and only thing that God will not interfere with, is our human ability to choose, our free will. It's all about us aligning our will with God's will, but He will not force it on us. We have to make the change. So type in the chat, what's one limiting belief holding you back right now that you think you need to let go of? I'm sure you've maybe thought of one through what we've talked about. Something that you feel like is, okay, this is one thing needs to go. How to align your thinking with God's plan for your life. So Dr. Caroline Leaf says, we are not victims of our biology. We are co-creators of our destiny alongside God. God leads, but we have to choose to let God lead. We have been designed to create thoughts, and from these we will live out our lives. This is something I love to talk about, is this version. I don't know if you've heard of this. It's the Japanese art of kintsugi, which teaches that broken objects are not something to hide, but to display with pride. This traditional Japanese art uses precious metal like liquid gold or liquid silver lacquer dusted with powdered gold to bring together pieces of a broken pottery item and enhance the cracks by repairing it. Because once it's repaired, it becomes possible to give a new lease of life to this pottery because it becomes even more refined thanks to its scars. And in addition, it becomes more valuable. So if you think of your life as this broken piece of pottery, even though you might have gone through things which have really broken you down, mind, spirit, and soul, God and the Holy Spirit is the gold lacquer, is the gold dust that puts us together. Because together, once the pieces come together, it is stronger, it is more resilient, and it has more, and it just is more valuable. Because Isaiah 61:3 says, "Beauty for ashes, to all who mourn in Israel, he will give a crown of beauty for ashes, a joyous blessing instead of mourning, festive praise instead of despair. In their righteousness, they will be like great oaks that the Lord has planted for his own glory." Isn't that a wonderful vision of the future, right? Rose says, what a wonderful point of view. So amen to that, right? You were born for a purpose, for such a time as this. Your mess becomes your message. Your obsession becomes your offer, and your experience becomes your expertise. Everything you've learned and been through in life is not about you. You are the answer to someone else's prayer. If you feel like this is something that's held you back, where you want to do something, you have an idea to pursue a business or a book or a ministry, and you're like, well, I don't feel good enough. Let me tell you, word enough does not equate in God's economy, because somebody right now is in a desperate need, is praying for a solution, and you are their answer. You are their solution. So by you withholding that solution, you are withholding someone's breakthrough. When you think of it that way and you frame it in your mind like that, you start to realize, okay, time to do the work, time to get busy. I got to get out of my own way and start to do the things that God has called me to do, because it's your turn to decide. You get to choose to take the action and act, because action changes things. So type in the chat, what is one thing you're going to do today to change your thinking? You are the boss of you. You are the boss of your time, and you are the boss of your brain. We get to choose, right? That is the biggest gift that God gives us. Even back in the days of Adam and Eve, we kind of wonder, why did things go the way they did? Is because God would not interfere with free choice. So how to take action towards breaking free and finding your freedom. Dr. Daniel Amen, also a clinical psychologist who's actually done over 100,000 brain scans, has this to say: implementing simple habits into your daily routine, like getting more sleep, drinking more water, going on gratitude walks, and spending time with loved ones, can powerfully optimize your brain software and hardware functioning. Isn't that amazing? So it seems simple, yet so profound. So just think of it for a minute. What is exactly that you want? Do you want increased confidence, more money, peace of mind, a healthy body, better opportunities, loving relationships? Do you want to change lives, or maybe leave a legacy? Well, you can't have the reward without the effort, because wishing is not a strategy. We have to have goals, and we have to have strategy, and we have to take the steps towards action, towards making it happen. No seed in the ground means there's no way for you to produce fruit. In the Bible, we call it stewardship, right? You have to plant the seed, and sometimes the planting process can seem very messy, and it doesn't seem very fruitful. I mean, it's dirty in the dark. You've got to plant the seed, and you can't see anything growing at first. But we have to be faithful in knowing that what we're planting is going to bear fruit at the right season, because now it's your time to invest in you. No more excuses, no more denial, no more wasting time. Someone is waiting for you to step up and rise to the challenge. Have you got big butts? Now, what do I mean by that? But I'm so busy. I don't have the time or tools right now. But I don't have the money right now. But my calves will hurt. It sounds like it's going to be hard work. Yes, I couldn't resist this one. I just thought this was so super cute. Going to the gym or get a workout schedule can often hurt, but sometimes we have a lot of butts that just get in the way. And what I have to say today is we need to stop the excuses. We can have 100 million different excuses that stop us from doing what we know we need to do. But today is your opportunity. If you're looking for a neon sign, this is it. Because when you commit, you will make the time, you will find the money, and you will put in the effort when you are serious about making change. Just think about how much money and time we invest in our physical health, going to the gym, taking a yoga class, changing our diet, hiring a personal trainer. Now it's time to invest in your mental health. We need to get you physically fit and mentally fit. It's time to get unstuck, but you have to choose to take action. Together we can unlock the power of your mind, because what I like to say, it's time to be the boss of your brain. Your brain, your thoughts, your emotions do not have to be the boss of you. You get to choose. It's time to shed that what weighs you down, the junk in the trunk, the stories of your past. That's been done. You cannot fix what happened in the past, but you can choose how you want to live your future. It's time to let go of what is holding you back. Because what you focus on grows. Thoughts are like trees. They grow. What you feed them, they will eventually grow. And so if you're feeding it negativity, what will result in your words and your actions is negativity. So it's time to focus on personal growth. The best idea yet that you've had is to train your brain and your mind to work for you. We train our bodies. We go to school and we train ourselves in our jobs and our skill level, but have we actually thought about how to train our thinking so we can make the decisions and move towards the action in the places we want to be? Well, today is your turn. It's your turn to decide, because action changes things. This is a true story. My own personal challenge. Like, I grew up as a child doing ballet dancing, and I'd always wanted to skate, but I never got a chance to do it. And eventually, at 33, I thought, you know what? I'm not too old to do it. I am going to do it. Of course, my kids were like, oh my gosh, Mom, seriously? Are you seriously going to be in a leotard in public? Do I have to be there for this? And it's like, you know what? I'm doing this for me. But this is proof to show you that at 33, I'd never learned the skill. But I've been training for 12 years with a coach, and I show up every week on a Tuesday. If you've tried calling on Tuesday, I'm not going to answer because I'm training. That's my skating time. I've committed to meeting with her once a week for training. And through this process, I've had to learn to rewire my brain and retrain muscle memory. Because as a ballet dancer, there are some things you can do for dancing which will actually injure you on the eye. So I can tell you, if I could do it in my 30s and 40s, you can do what you put your mind to. The facts are this: your brain's main function is to keep you safe. We are physiologically wired to avoid discomfort. If you think about it, back in the day when we were surviving, in order to keep yourself alive, discomfort was avoided. But the good news is you can retrain your brain through choice. Because again, we are made of our mind, our will and emotions, which is our soul, and our spirit, which is within us, which is who we really are at the core, which gets saved when we give our lives to the Lord. But our soul, which is our mind and will and emotions, does sometimes need a choice and needs some help. But today you have that opportunity. And I know life can seem overwhelming, but oftentimes you just need help and you need guidance. You need shortcuts to get results faster. I mean, the reason I hire a coach is I could learn this and figure things out by trial and error by myself, or I could shortcut the process and get someone's expert opinion to help me move along faster. Because today is the day to start. And I know this can seem a little overwhelming when it feels like, where do I start? And I don't even know what to do first. Let's just breathe in the breeze and blow out the candles. We're going to just do this one step at a time, because by you doing that and realizing today you can start with just doing one thing first. Jim Rohn, a well-known personal development coach, had said, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So if you just think about your friends and family, those who are around you, what are they speaking in your life? Are they bringing positive or negative? Do they fill you up or do they wear you down? Do you feel more energized, more creative, more inspired? Or are people are bringing their fears and their anxieties and weighing you down? We often don't think about what we're thinking about or how we are feeling, because sometimes we think it's just the way we feel, but oftentimes we are picking up sort of the environment of what those are around us are feeling. So type in the chat, what is one thing you're going to do today to change your future? What is that decision you know that is begging you to make? That if today is your neon sign, you have got the message. That positive affirmation, speaking into being, because God created the world with these words, right? But first he thought about it, and then his thoughts became his words, and his words became action, became manifest after he spoke them out loud. So I'm a big proponent on making sure to censor our speech and making sure that it's in alignment with what and who God says we are. I trust you enjoyed the training. And if you did and want to go a little further, we can work together in my group coaching program called Unstick Your Mind. What you just watched is one module that I have in my signature course collection and the coaching program that guides you through the step-by-step process. Now, this is a program I've developed over many years of coaching and consulting with people, and I've developed this system to help you step out of your comfort zone, take the action you need to take so you can walk in the purpose that God has ordained for you. If you'd like that support, the support of community, the support from me, weekly calls and accountability where we're able to hold your feet to the fire so you actually take action, this is for you. So click the button that says supported by the Unstick Your Mind group coaching program and apply today. I hope to see you in there soon. Take care. Are you ready to get unstuck? Come and join our coaching program, Unstick Your Mind and unlock explosive growth. Sign up today at mimikacooney.com/unstick your mind.